I'm Thomas Zog, and this is my plan to save the Western world. Hi, how's it going? If you haven't noticed, our world seems to be run by a bunch of multinational corporations, instead of the governments that we're supposedly electing. In my view, this is a serious issue. It's an issue so serious, it calls for a drastic solution. Many of you have noticed that your governments are marching in unison with the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum is looking to implement a biometric surveillance state, where we the people are no longer empowered to elect and control our governments. Instead, we are given the illusion of choice based off of who the World Economic Forum decides is electable. Knowing this problem being insurmountable, I have crafted a solution for a proposition nation, accepting that Canada's political regime is very corrupt. I do not believe that we are going to vote our way out of this problem, which is why, using some of my legal training and my experience in Canadian courtrooms, I've come to an understanding of a different solution. And that solution is in crafting a proposition nation. Just as George Washington and the founding fathers of the United States crafted a proposition for a new nation to the colonists that were disaffected and dissatisfied with British rule, so too am I putting forward a proposition for a new nation for the people of Canada and the English-speaking world. This nation I call the Republic of the Free West. A republic is a system of government where the people have inalienable rights, regardless of whatever politician or bureaucratic regime takes control of these governments. At the end of the day, the power will always rest with the people in a republic. This is why I have crafted the Constitution of the Republic of the Free West to protect the rights of the citizenry of the English-speaking world. Key areas that are dealt with in this approach. The first is monetary reform. We cannot run our governments in such a way whereas we are beholden to private banks for equity. We cannot run our governments in such a way where the resources, the real value in our territory is extracted by private corporations that we are, as a civilian population, underpaid for. My solution involves resetting the financial sector so that the value of the Canadian dollar is not based off of fiat or debt, but it is based off of the amount of actual tangible resources that we have. And as Canadians, we are one of the most resource-rich countries in the world. The second aspect of this action plan is judicial reform. Many people have had interactions with Canada's what we can call kangaroo court system. Oftentimes people are being pressured into taking plea deals. They find themselves in prisons where there is no rehabilitation taking place. Prisons seem to be reinforcing criminal behavior and ideology and doing a lot to cause the growth in organized crime and gangs. And these are not in the interests of the people. If prison was more rehabilitative, this would not be a problem. And then the third aspect is a military buildup. As a country that is this rich in resources, we cannot afford to be this poor in military might. If we have a country with a military of 5,000 people that are capable of actually picking up rifles and fighting, trying to defend this much resources and this much land, no one will take us seriously when we try to negotiate with them. Monetary reform, judicial reform, and a serious military buildup. That is the action plan. That isn't the Constitution, though, because we're currently in a state where the government is disobeying its own laws. The government is disobeying international law. We have to find some way to organize ourselves with discipline and leadership and accountability so that we can hold the criminal regime that occupies our government accountable before the world. We cannot do that within this corrupted legal fiction. Hence the proposition nation, that we form a new country with a new legal fiction. In this system that I have crafted, there are rights and responsibilities. Rights, healthcare. Responsibility, public service or military service. Rights, firearms ownership. Responsibility, voting. It's a delicate balance between rights and responsibilities. And as Canadians, I think we have a unique understanding of this. I'm not asking for a new society where we have unlimited rights and no responsibilities. There's no way to maintain a society like that in perpetuity. In this system of government, there is an executive branch led by a president that is elected by all people. There is a legislative branch called the Senate of Parliament. In order to be a member of the Senate of Parliament, since the Senate of Parliament is crafting law, you must be a lawyer. There is also the People's Congress. Anyone can be a member of the People's Congress. And the job of the People's Congress is to articulate the problems to the rest of the government that the people are having with the society. There are checks and balances in this system. Just like we have a monarch currently that is the source of authority for the state, in the new system, there is also a monarch. And just like in the old system, where the monarch does not have any meaningful dictatorial powers, this is the same in the new system. The monarch has an obligation to hold out a public image of what benevolent and divine authority looks like. And the purpose of this is to set an example for all people that work in the government of how they should behave and conduct themselves, while at the same time providing an example to the people of the level of service that they can expect from the people that work for their government. Just as Pierre Poilievre says that Canada is broken, I agree. But Mr. Poilievre is part of that broken system. He was part of the Harper regime in 2014 that opened the door to China in the first place. He was part of the Conservative Party of Canada that fell silent while your rights were trampled over by the state. A lot of folks have been discussing problems that we're facing as Canadians, but they seem light on solutions. I have a solution here. Just like when you change the operating system on your computer because a bunch of files have become corrupted, I think it's fair to say that a bunch of our government officials and institutions have become corrupted, and the solution is to implement a whole new system. And that's what I have crafted here in the proposition nation of the Republic of the Free West.